Don Bosco production.
Share with you some, I would say, some spiritual reflections in order to help us to grow in our faith. Actually, I prepared, I would say, not different topics because it is linked, but maybe it's too long for half an hour. So you will keep this paper, you will read it later on. I will follow it a little, but I will explain perhaps in another shorter way. I was just reflecting, anyway, it's not a new situation, but we can see in the news, recent news, or since a few months, or let's say also a few years, a kind of instability, violence, religious challenges in the world, in many countries. And we are many times even surprised in these last months or last days to see so many, we could say, revolutions or wars. We can see in Syria, in Egypt, Yemen, in Algeria, Morocco, in Greece, these last days in London. And it seems to be so strange because we were not accustomed to this. And it seems to be a kind of explosion of violence, many times coming from, I would say, religious challenges or conflicts, sometimes economical situation, difficult economical situation. But it seems to be that it is a recurrent movement, coming back. I remember Paul the Sixth saying, many years ago, but saying, no more war in the world. And after that, John Paul II saying, no more war in the world. But it seems to be that we see always the same movement. So we are in front of this kind of, I wrote, dramatic, mimetic violence appearing every time in our society, in our world. It's just to start to reflect together. We are in front of this kind of recurrent situation, coming back, a kind of circle. So I was just interested, and I will speak about him later on, about one philosopher, anthropologist, Catholic, Rene Girard. He is French, but he has been living in the United States for, let's say, 60 years. And he wrote a lot about violence, religions, culture, sacrifice, and I wrote some of his books, and I find it interesting. I mean, I wrote here a first approach, but it's very short. I will tell you later on. So my point, starting point, if I can say, of our reflection is, we are in front of this kind of difficult situation, which is not new in the world, maybe because of the sharing of information in our world. We know this very well and immediately, but it's not a new situation. And according to this anthropologist, it is a very antique, very ancient, very old situation of our world. And through Jesus came to give a new movement to the world. Because of this difficult movement of violence, of vengeance, of war, fighting, of enmity, of jealousy, of conflict, even in our own heart, even in our families, even in our societies, our villages, communities. Jesus came to establish a new movement, a new situation, which is totally different from the older world, the old world. So with Jesus, we have many times this kind of new. This is new. The New Testament, or in the Psalms, many times we say we will sing a new song to the Lord. And I think it's also a very beautiful expression that we have in the Bible, even if it is from the Old Testament. But since the beginning, people believe that we have to grow and to make something new. Since the beginning, people know that we need something new. And for example, for the Jews, since the beginning, they know that they will sing a new song to the Lord, that nobody knows yet. But we have to prepare ourselves to sing this new song to the Lord. If we can say they put a road and a rope and they go round. It seems to be easier to cultivate that a rectangle or a square. It seems to be that a circle, even with a cow, etc., is better to go around than to have a rectangle or a square. And I was thinking, well, this is really the definition of culture. Culture is, even the culture of agriculture, culture is a circle. So that means that it seems to be that culture in our cultural definition, or culture in the agricultural sense, it seems to be the same way. We do the same, and we cannot change. So Jesus came to teach us, to show us a new path. A new path. We know that for us as Christians, we have one direction. Usually we say like this, even in a chronological way, we have one direction. There is a past, there is a present, there is the future. It seems to be very clear. But perhaps not according to the Christian way, or not according to the Buddhist way, let's say. It seems to be more in a circle. But for us as Christians, we break this circle and we go straight on. Past, present, future. We are not anymore in the circle. We go out. Because what? Because we want to create something new, which is not a repetition as before. Many times in the Gospel, the Jews were saying, our ancestors were doing like this, why now you, Jesus, do like that? Or Jesus saying, you heard that, now I tell you. You heard many times that, etc. We have many stories like this. But now I tell you that. Jesus respecting the scripture, but going on in a new way. I just chose, you will see in this paper, you will read it. I just read some sentences coming from Sacramentum Caritatis. The way we have, especially through the Eucharist, to promote a kind of new worship, a new spiritual life. And many times, and you will see it is in the number 70, 71, you will see later on, how Jesus brought transformation.